binging Bridgerton is a guilty pleasure we just cannot get enough of. Of course, we owe most of that to those steamy scenes and insane chemistry between the cast. But apparently, according to a writer on the show, writing those scenes is extremely awkward. And so in this video, we'll take a look at how screenwriters find writing sexy scenes in the show can be tricky. Spoiler alert, it's not all that glamorous. First up, Bridgerton's screenwriter reveals awkward details about steamy scenes on the show. Scenes in film history have always served as an entertaining factor to lure audiences in, and while sometimes they're used as crucial plot points to alter the trajectory of the story, sometimes it's just for fun. But this Regency-era show does things a little differently. When Bridgerton dropped on Netflix in 2020, fans had a blast watching this modern take on a century-old fictitious narrative that came straight out of Shondaland. Now, if you've seen Grey's Anatomy, you know that Shonda loves making her characters get all hot and bothered for each other, and that tradition continued on Bridgerton too, when Daphne and the Duke of Hastings couldn't keep their hands off of each other after getting married in season 1. But what we see on our screens is the final product of months and months of planning. And in reality, even writing those scenes can be a very awkward experience for the screenwriters. For starters, the sequences are incredibly detailed. Behind every touch is a strenuous thinking process, and of course, when your words will be translated on screen by actors, you kind of need to be on point with the details. Jess Brownell, a writer-producer on the show, recently revealed what it's like to be the mastermind behind these scenes. She shared that writing the show's steamy scenes was one of the most awkward moments of her career. While she admitted she had fun writing them, the thought of her boss going through them made it a tad bit more awkward than it already was. Next, season 1's steamy sequences were pretty sensual to begin with. While Julia Quinn did a wonderful job creating these characters and building the Bridgerton verse, if you go back and rewatch the episodes, you'll realize how intentional some decisions on the show were. Season 1 centered on the first book of the Bridgerton series, The Duke and I, and followed the story of the eldest Bridgerton daughter and the Duke of Hastings. Their love story unfolded in the most beautiful ways, as we saw them become the best of friends and then the fiercest of lovers. But as they professed their love and eventually things became a lot more physical between the two, it's clear how the two have this burning desire for each other that just cannot be extinguished. Sure, they've got their ups and downs, but at the core of their situationship, it has always been an incredible amount of love and lust simmering between the two. And as we mentioned earlier, writing those scenes must have been a pretty overwhelming process for the writers, considering Simon and Daphne have done it literally everywhere. Makes you think though, was it all scripted? Or was some of it just good old ad-lib? What's more, season 2 had a slow burn approach. When Shonda Rhimes explained the trajectory of season 2, which followed the second book of the series, The Viscount Who Loved Me, she revealed that every character's romantic life's different, which is true. While the characters on the show are thriving, having left and right, we're pretty much oscillating between either being cat parents or being celibate, maybe a little bit of both. Shonda intended for Kate and Anthony to have a slow burn romance from the get-go, and it was pretty genius on her part, considering their chemistry on screen sizzled like no other. After all, not everyone can have the same kind of sex life, so we really appreciate the fact that there's a whole lot of longing in season 2, especially as enemies to lovers. While the steamy scenes in the second installment didn't really unfold until much later in the season, it was those little moments in between that made us swoon every time. A touch, a glance, and the lingering gazes between Anthony made us all giddy in the stomach every time they came on our screens. And we gotta be honest, seeing those two sometimes made us feel like we were intruding on them. All the credit for the show's success goes to the brilliant writing for the show, and of course, the star-studded cast that literally brought life to the characters. We really can't imagine anyone else being Kate Sharma and Anthony Bridgerton, other than Simone Ashley and Jonathan Bailey. Up next, the scenes are intricately choreographed too. When the show first received critical praise for its unique take on Regency London, the actors spilled a lot of beans in several interviews that followed after. For instance, Phoebe Dynevor revealed how the sex scenes from season 1 were so complex that filming them was a chore sometimes. At home, she was always on high alert with the remote while watching the show with her family in order to avoid her sex scenes, and backstage, she was even more careful to film them because of their intense choreography. She recalls rehearsing the scenes like stunts. Phoebe even explained how she knew where the guy would put his hand at what moment, and they even had several props in between them as they tried to get the right shot. Director Julia Robinson also opened up about how she intended the scenes to be like. She wanted to show those scenes not as filler, but as a pivotal point that would decide what story the scene was telling. The show even had an intimacy coordinator on set. So couple that with some screenwriter magic, top-notch acting, and world-class directing, and there you have it, the perfect Bridgerton scene. Now that we've gone over the details of the steamy scenes, let's talk a bit about when season 3 is gonna drop on Netflix. First up, when will the new season release? If you're like us, then you've probably watched season 1 and 2 way too many times while waiting for the upcoming season. And if you're really dedicated, then you've probably also nailed Anthony's confession and do a dramatic enactment of it every night in the mirror. No? Just us? Alright then. As we wait for domestic Canthony and hopefully a blooming romance between Theo and Eloise, we're not quite sure exactly when we'll see our favorite Bridgerton back on screen. We already know the cast is filming the new season and will wrap sometime around December 2022, so it's not likely we'll see Canthony anytime soon. But if we had to take a wild guess, we think the show's looking at a 2023 release for season 3. So we might as well join hands and manifest an early release for the show. Give us more of this steamy Regency era London. Quench our thirst, Shonda. Following up, what do we know so far about the upcoming chapter? Shortly after season 2 came out, word on the street was that the show was going to divert from the original order of the books and focus on Penelope and Colin's love story. Now, if you still don't know that, that's on you guys. But we've been looking forward to Pollen to get together since the first time they shared the same frame. And sure, we do want to see Sophia and Benedict soon too, but let's let the spotlight shine on Pollen for now. Moving on, are we going to see some new faces? With every new season, there are obviously going to be some new faces joining us. And for season 3, we've got Daniel Francis, who's joined the cast as Marcus Anderson, Sam Phillips as Lord Debling, and James Foon as Harry Dankworth. Hannah New will be playing the role of young widow Lady Tilly Arnold. And as for Regé-Jean Page, we won't be seeing that sculpted body on the show anytime soon, sadly. The role of Francesca Bridgerton has been recast too, as Stokes couldn't continue longer on the show because of scheduling conflicts. In her place, we'll have Hannah Dodd, a new face for a familiar character. Last but not least, the title of season 3's first episode has been revealed. Dearest reader, or should we say watcher, we finally have our season 3 crumbs. It's been hard to get a glimpse into production lately, and all we know for now is that the new season's going to be even steamier than ever. So while we wait for that, the new season will start with the episode titled Out of the Shadows, and our minds are already buzzing with theories about the opening sequence. We think the title's a nod to how Eloise will cope with the fact that her best friend has been the gossip queen of Regency London. Eloise knows Penelope's identity as Lady Whistledown, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see how things unravel for them next year in 2023. And that's a wrap for this video, guys. Do you think writing scenes is awkward? Would you be comfortable writing them? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this. Until next time, see you soon.